Oh, and thank you for joining us for our recurring webinar series here at ETRAGE. Today we'll be covering how you can manage multiple PLM platforms with ETRAGE solutions. A few housekeeping items. This is being recorded. All of our attendees are in listen-only mode and are therefore muted. We would like your interaction in the form of questions. You'll need to submit those questions through the question tab. It should be in the upper left-hand side of the webinar interface. Thank you in advance for all those questions. We'll answer all of them that we are able to get to during the webinar. Anything we can't get to, or if we get stumped and don't know the answer, we will follow up with you after the webinar is over in the next 1 to 2 days. Additionally, this recording will be available on our YouTube channel and through our website, usually within 24 hours. Today, you'll hear from myself, Scott Rich, and our Senior Technical Lead for CAD Systems, Shei Shinbore. I'll cover a few introduction slides, and then I'll hand things off to Shei, and the two of us will rejoin towards the end to cover frequently asked questions. I have been in this industry for nearly 10 years. I specialize in helping customers identify gaps in their current PLM processes and find ways to automate. Shei, our presenter today, has been in this space for well over 12 years, extensive background in CAD and simulation tools, and has, in the last 3 years, made the move to focus more and more on how that data can be managed in PLM systems. Who is ETRAGE? We have been around for more than 20 years. We are a PTC technology partner, and our mission is PLM adoption that often takes a handful of different forms. I already mentioned finding gaps in your digital thread. Additionally, identifying where end users struggle to maintain full adoption and to make full use of the data stored in PLM, and then use that for their day-to-day work. We'll often do a number of migrations every year. We'll connect disparate systems to make sure they communicate seamlessly. More on that theme of PLM adoption, we take an approach where we do a lot of communication, we ask a lot of questions, and we help you identify how are your systems set up to facilitate adoption, how are the systems managed to facilitate adoption, and then we do the deep dive on your end users. What is their feedback? What are the things that prevent them from making full use of the data that is there, making full use of the processes that are available to them? That can often mean unique interface, often means removing options that they do not need or want or are not able to use, so that interface is less crowded. Last slide for me before I hand things over. We have a number of tools in the ETRAGE suite of solutions. Today, we'll touch on a few topics, including our custom application development, our tools for connecting different systems, different CAD systems, PDM, PLM, and ERP systems, as well as our two core products, the ETRAGE Viewer and the ETRAGE Publisher. With that, Shei, I look forward to hearing from you, and I'll hand things over.
Thank you, Scott, for those warm introductory words. So we'll go ahead and dive into the content of this webinar here. Right? So first off, when we talk about multi-PLM solutions, right? The landscape as it is right now is oftentimes you could have a single organization, right, where you could have maybe Windchill for your engineering PLM system, right? But you could also have, Teamcenter as well. Maybe it's another division, another country or continent that is standardized on Teamcenter, right? And they were acquired maybe by M&A. And you could also have maybe another division that's also using Windchill, right? And possibly a different division within the same company, right? That maybe has the engineering data on network drives, and maybe they don't have a PLM system instead. Well, the reality is there's no way for all of these different disparate data sources to share and pass data back and forth from one another, right? And oftentimes that then means that it becomes a very expensive, IT infrastructure build out in order to, migrate data back and forth between these systems, right? And then also a big change management or enablement exercise to then retrain these customers or employees who are, for example, standardized on Teamcenter. If you want to then migrate their data to Windchill, and then I have to then retrain them back on from Siemens to P2C, products, right? Well, all of that is what we obviate and make unnecessary, frankly, well, with the ETRAGE PLM solutions, right? And with that, it's the fact that we can take our publisher and plug in data from all these disparate data sources simultaneously, right, or in parallel, and then we can then push all that data into our viewer, and our viewer now enables central business functions like manufacturing, like purchasing, like quality, to all be able to view and access the same data coming from all these different PLM systems. Right? And so again, in a world where you have, again, an acquisition, maybe they currently use Teamcenter, for example, and you have centralized, business functions like purchasing or manufacturing that will just retrieve the data from these PLM systems and then action on them, right? Now you could essentially have all those different central business functions use the ETRAGE viewer as the single source of truth, where they can now see and pull the latest and greatest release data coming straight from the engineering source, right? Regardless of which PLM it's coming from. They can come in there, search, retrieve what data they need, and take action on that immediately. Now, what that means now is, again, take a solution where, like I said, your company, you're a US-based company, right? And you acquired for maybe an Italian division that's standardized on Teamcenter. Now, the reality is you either have to, number one, switch and retrain everyone from Teamcenter and migrate the data to Windchill, and then retrain all the employees to use Windchill, right, and Creo as well. Or the reality is you could just say, you know what, you're on Teamcenter, you can keep using that, and you could centralize some of the business functions, for example, purchasing. So that way, if purchasing still needs to access, data from your core US operations here, they can search within the same ETRAGE viewer environment and retrieve that data. Purchasing needs to access data for your Italian division that's using Teamcenter. You can go ahead and they can still search within the same ETRAGE environment and retrieve that data as well. And this is actually a real use case we have where a particular customer of ours did that. They currently they're US-based company, but they have an EU division that makes similar products only marketed to EU customers. Well, in the EU, they have specific regulatory requirements with regards to the use of flame retardants, right, on their products, which are not those regulatory requirements are not specified here in the U.S. Right, and if they have one centralized purchasing department, right, that manages both continents, purchasing needs to know, okay, for any particular product I'm looking at, right, should this one have a flame retardant or not? And their ability to go to the ETRAGE viewer, search for a simple word for part number and flame, and be able to see, okay, yes, this particular part number, yes, does have flame retardant, or no, it does not have a flame retardant specified in it, right, from the engineering department, right, means that it makes their job much easier in terms of knowing what to procure, what to not procure for each particular SKU that's being produced. Right? So I'll pause right here and dive into a quick demo of the ETRAGE multi-PLM solution. All right. So first thing first on here is going to be this right here, right? So right now we're looking at the ETRAGE viewer, right? And within the viewer, you'll notice in this particular case that we have a very simple, again, UI, but again, it's incredibly effective in its usage for any or organization. It's the simple fact that you can go in and search for data. You can find what you need listed, right? And by name, part number, revision, but also you can ensure that it's the latest and greatest up-to-date data, right? As indicated by the latest column on the far right. You can get that data regardless of what it is, whether it's a part, drawing, or assembly. And you'll notice in this case, all of this data is from Team Center. So all of this is release data from Team Center published into the ETRAGE viewer. Again, you can also then say, okay, well, same organization, right? We have data from, again, maybe your US counterparts, right? And in this case, all that data is coming here from Windchill. Right? So again, you can go ahead and do a search, and it lists out, in this case, similar data, assemblies, drawings, parts, in this case, Windchill packages, right? All of these coming from Windchill. And again, to just, confirm or to verify, right? These contexts, PSW, test product, and E1 are both contexts within this particular Windchill environment over here. So again, what you see in the ETRAGE viewer, it's just listing out, data that's already published from Windchill, right? And in this case, all of that is release data. So now, anyone from, purchasing or procurement or manufacturing or suppliers can all come in here and just say, hey, I want to look for, the latest design of a piston, right? Be able to immediately search, find what they need, retrieve whatever information that they need from that, whether it's a step file, whether it's a PDF, whether it's a drawing, and then be able to go ahead and take action on that immediately. So as you can see right over here, if it's a piston drawing they want to retrieve, okay, well, ETRAGE viewer says, okay, there's multiple different files you can download. Which one do you want? And I can say, okay, well, I want to review the drawing of this, and there we go. Right. So if I'm someone in quality, right, and I need a drawing to be able to see and check against dimensions, I have what I need right here. If I'm in manufacturing and I need a drawing as well, I have what I need right here. If I say, for example, maybe I need a step file instead of the drawing, I can go ahead and retrieve that from the ETRAGE viewer UI as well. Right? And yeah, that would be again simply right over here with the part file. Now, I will also mention that we're not restricted to just step files, DXFs, and PDF drawings, right? Really, we can publish almost any data source that is third-party or proprietary, or even CAD native from your native PLM solution, right? And it just so happens in this case, these are some of the more commonly requested solutions. But again, if you have, maybe you're standardized on 3D printing and you want a 3MS file, or you typically use, maybe IGES files or any other third-party or neutral or even CAD native formats, we can extract that data from PLM, push that to the viewer, and then allow and enable your users to access that data. So all that being said, right, you can kind of see the benefit for using ETRAGE for the multi-PLM solutions platform that we have. Benefits are essentially now you can have, number one, improved cross-functional collaboration between all your departments, right? Because we can automate PLM data flow, right, from multiple different PLM platforms in an easy and secure way that allows for the right people to access the appropriate data that they need for their business functions. So again, all that means we can improve collaboration between your business functions, regardless of whether they're in the U.S. or cross continents, right? And we can be the technology catalyst that helps the business grow and scale faster. As a result of, again, a new M&A does not mean big and expensive IT initiatives to migrate data and then also retrain employees as well. If that's actually what is needed, we're there to support you as well, with our data management, data migration, and and training solutions as well. But again, oftentimes, if that's not what's needed, right, for maybe speed and flexibility, you want to keep people on the same system they're on, post M&A, we can do that right here as is with our multi-PLM solutions. And in addition to that, if you want to say, for example, customers where a particular department that's standardized in a particular PLM system does so for regulatory or compliance flexibility requirements, right? That's something that we can also enable as well, right? So in order to not lose the compliance benefit, they can still stay on that same PLM system, right? But yeah, we can still extract the data from that, push it into the viewer, where again, all of that is available for your entire organization. So all that being said, these are all the benefits of how you can use the ETRAGE suite of solutions to link multiple PLM systems, called Windchill, Team Center, even data from a network drive as well that's not stored on the PLM system. Be able to put all of that into the ETRAGE viewer and still be able to have your entire business, grow and scale as a result of being able to link all those disparate data sources together. Being said, thank you so much for listening here. I'll pass it to Scott now for the Q&A portion.
Thank you, Shai. So we pull these together, talking to a few customers and coworkers. Frequently asked questions we hear from people we meet with. The first question is, what sort of data security controls are built into the viewer?
Question. So there are many different security controls. Number one, be something that's starting from you have to have a login, or it's a named user login to log into the system. Again, named user is not for licensing purposes. It's just to ensure that only the right people that need access to the system get access to it. You can also segregate data by a role-based user access. And so specific users and specific roles can be granted permissions to see specific data in specific contexts. And so that way you can segregate data that way. But you can also then segregate data by even security labels as well. So to ensure that if you have something that is maybe export controlled versus not, right, those have the appropriate security labels that could be generated from PLM or created within the ETRAGE viewer. And those security labels can then be used to segment who gets to see what information.
Good. Now, a number of people or companies who are currently in a multi-PLM world, they don't necessarily want that to be their perpetual state in life. What options are there to help them consolidate to fewer PLM systems in the future?
Yeah, great question. Again, a lot of this webinar has been about, if you have multi-PLM and that's the world you live in and you want to continue to exist in that, we can support you there. If you find that you do need to consolidate PLM data, again, we have tons of tools and solutions to enable that as well. We have bulk loaders. We have decades of experience with migrating data back and forth from PLM systems. And we also have extensive expertise when it comes to training and adoption as well, to ensure that if you truly want to centralize on one PLM system and you want your users to adopt that as well, we have all the expertise to move that data over and also train your users on the new PLM system, so that way there's seamless adoption between that, and there's, again, minimize the gap, make sure that your users can be productive as soon as possible.
Very good. This next question is one that I pieced together, a couple examples that I've come across in the last year. Some companies, because of unique security requirements between the different PLM systems, or multiple PLM systems of the same type in some cases, and companies that have very specific tasks or products, they don't need a constant series of live updates between systems. So what options are there for a more sporadic sharing of data between the two systems? Something either on demand as needed, or something, a curated list of data to be shared every 2 weeks, every 30, 60 days, something like that.
Okay. Well, good question. So for this, we say we do have the option for batch updates, and that could be, like I mentioned, say on demand, where it's user initiated, or it also could be automated periodically, right? We could set up the system to check, every week or every couple of weeks or every month, and if there are any updates, if there's any new data that's been changed that needs to be synchronized across the PLMs or ERP systems, we can go ahead and plug that data in and push that out as well. And so we don't, if you don't need a constant, data stream and you want something more periodic or batch updates, we can definitely accommodate that as well.
Good. Now, there are a number of homegrown systems still in use all over the world. Some of those are based on Oracle. I know others are based just on network drives or OneDrive or SharePoint, but configured in a homegrown way. What can our tools do to help manage or integrate with homegrown data management systems?
All right, great question. For that, ultimately, I would say is we would need details about your homegrown system and what data lives in it and what data from that you would like to feed into the ETRAGE viewer to make accessible throughout the rest of the organization. But it's a request we get very frequently, and we use a consultative approach to understand your system, explore that, and then be able to find a way to export that data and ultimately transform and load that into the viewer on a programmatic level. So that way, we aim to automate that, minimize user input, so that way it can happen seamlessly with minimal errors.
Very good. How about integrating with MRP systems? So not technically PLM, but similar sort of enterprise-wide system that needs to be fed with accurate real-time data.
Yeah, great question. Again, I would say with an MRP system, yeah, we could potentially work with that as well. Again, similar to the prior question there, we would need details about, what your MRP system is, and what data you'd want to feed from that, and we can again design a custom solution and that can integrate with your MRP system to pull the data out of it.
Kind of on that same question, then, how about connecting with OneDrive, with a network drive, with SharePoint?
With OneDrive, network drive, and SharePoint, all of those options are definitely possible. We do have some customers that use that currently, and we integrate and pull data from those systems for them currently. And so all of those are things that we can definitely, again, it's a consultative approach in what kind of data you have in there, what do you want to synchronize, and we can definitely make sure to configure something for you in that.
And I can also volunteer that we actually have specific SharePoint integration. So our publisher can actually feed from Windchill directly to SharePoint if that is part of your process, instead of manually uploading to SharePoint. And then last question for you, Shai. We'll wrap this up in a mere 20 minutes, perhaps. Specific question, SolidWorks and EPDM being common data management tools, especially in consumer goods space. How can we connect with SolidWorks and EPDM?
Yeah, great question. So we currently work with SolidWorks, and we do have integrations with SolidWorks on a programmatic API level. But we use that particularly with Windchill, where there's what bridges the gap in this case is the Windchill Workgroup Manager for SolidWorks. EPDM we haven't done a lot with, but again, that's something where we can always take a consultative approach, and as long as we can understand again what data you have in there, we can find a way to programmatically extract that out and then consume that with the publisher. So again, I would say for that, we could, it's something that we can explore. We're always open to exploring, and in order to be able to automate that delivery of your data from EPDM or to EPDM as well.
Very good. I think that's all we have for today. Thank you so much, Farron, for joining us. We'll have this recording up shortly. Just in the nick of time, we have one more question come in. What PLM platforms do we connect to? Teamcenter, Windchill, and are there others out of the box?
Good question. So currently, out of the box, we have it's Windchill and also Teamcenter, and we're also open to exploring additional PLM platforms as needed based on customer requests. So I'd say for us, we're very heavy on getting customer feedback and using that to develop new products and services. And the reasons we integrate with Windchill and Teamcenter is, again, due to customer feedback and customer requests, and we decided to develop those products. And so, again, if we have, other PLM, platforms that customers need access to and want to integrate our ETRAGE suite into, we're more than willing to take that consultative approach, listen to them, and go ahead and see if there's a way to design a win-win system where we can develop something for them on that.
Very good. Now, after that false alarm, we'll go ahead and now we will wrap things up. Thanks again, everyone, for joining us. We will see you in 2 weeks' time for our next presentation.